Hi, loves. Welcome to a new episode of the AW Confidential podcast. Today, I have the honor of having someone who is, I don't know, she is just fire on screen and off screen. She is a seasoned TV host. Victoria Levert is a dynamic voice around the world in entertainment, fashion, and media. She has brought her style and grace to major networks like NBC Universal, BET, Viacom, CBS. Whether on the red carpet, in the studio, or on air, her light shines through. Victoria embodies resilience, reinvention, and grace. She didn't just survive the LA wildfires, she rose from the ashes literally and figuratively. So, how do you bounce back when you lose more than material goods? Because it's not always about the materialistic, it's also about a sense of safety. Today, we'll dive into what it means to watch everything go in flames. And that can be, like I said, figuratively or physically. And she will share her story with us. She survive the fires to find resilience, truth, and a new beginning. And when I say survive, Victoria is going to share with us in what aspect I am referring to. Hi, Victoria.
What's up, Yvette? Wow. Thank you for that amazing intro. I mean, it's truly an honor to even be on AW Confidential. I am a
Thanks.
fan of yours. So many of your segments have helped me, especially in some of the dark times that have hit me recently. You give such great, I just think, material to help women, especially us women of color, just navigating whether it's us in the Afro Latina aspect or Latina aspect or African, wherever you're like from. Like, this is such a great platform with so many amazing guests you've had on here. Kudos to you. It's really an honor just to get into talking to you today, so I'm excited.
I'm supposed to give you the waterworks, girl, not the other way around.
Oh no, it's a
You know,
pleasure.
we
Sure.
do we do this work, right? And you don't know how you're doing until someone says something like that. I mean, I can always say, "Yeah, I pat myself on the back," but the truth is, you just hope that the stories resonate, and hearing you say that, we're connected. So thank
For
you
sure.
so much. You like literally since we connected, you've been such a big support. And I love the work you do. I've watched you do what I do in person, and you do it so well. You do it with so much grace. And it's beautiful, but we never know what's going on with the person behind the scenes. So, can you share with us a little bit about your experience with the LA wildfires? Because I said survived, but I think when we think of survival, we think of it physically, like running from a fire, but it's more than that. So, can you share a little bit about your experience and what happened?
Absolutely. I love how you just broke down survival. Most people think of survival as in just the physical aspect, right? But it survival can mean mental, it could mean your health, it could mean your spirituality, it could mean anything you need to really just get through day to day. And definitely the LA wildfires for me put every single aspect into fold for me when it comes to survival. I have been living in the Santa Monica area since I moved to Los Angeles from New York 5 years ago, going on 6 years now. Always been a beach girl since I've lived here.
One
So
of my favorite places.
it's beautiful, right?
Yeah.
And, luckily, downtown Santa Monica is still standing like nothing happened, but I cannot stress to people enough when I say just 1 mile past the pier, just 1 mile. Literally, the fires have taken everything away. I'm talking hospitals, I'm talking grocery stores, I'm talking schools, and of course, the homes. I don't think, many people don't really understand just how big the magnitude of the fires was, but to put just this physical aspect into picture for everyone, when we talk about the Pacific Palisades and Malibu, which is the side of Los Angeles that I live on, just in the west side of LA, the amount of acreage that burned equals to the full size of all 5 boroughs of New York City. Okay. um Plus some. Okay, so and that's just one half of Los Angeles, which is the west side. That's Malibu and the Palisades, but we also have on the east side you have Altadena and Pasadena, and that is a tragedy in itself because the Altadena area was a historically Black neighborhood, and it had homes that have been housing some of the biggest Black stars in Hollywood since like the early 1920s. So, just for all of that to be gone in a blink of an eye is tragic in itself.
Well, and I think it's also important to note, because I saw this on social media. It wasn't just millionaires and billionaires and celebrities who lost their homes. Families, working people. It wasn't just money there.
Absolutely. And that's another thing, a lot of people, when they think of LA or they hear these areas, they're like, oh, these are just rich people, right?
Mm.
Honey, I'm not rich. I wish, but and many of my neighbors that have completely lost everything that they have were not wealthy at all. And then some of the people that you hear, oh, they're in a $4.5 million home, that was all of their money. Their money went completely into the house. I always say, like, someone's net worth does not equal how much they actually have in their bank account. And that could go very deep, but just because you hear someone has a multi-million-dollar home, some people have mortgages that are like 60 plus years long. It doesn't mean that I have 4.5 million in my bank account. I might only have $20 to my name. So people have really lost a lot. And during that time, I'll never forget seeing the fire roll off the mountain I'm looking out the window of my apartment and I'm seeing smoke. And so I get in my car, I'm like, what's happening? You get out, you start driving, and all you see are people just running through the streets. You're hearing people just get to the car, get to the car. Kids are screaming. And then you look up and you look into the mountains that literally are half a mile away from you, and you just see flames coming down actively. That was the physical part of, okay, I've got to go, I've got to flee, right? I didn't pack anything, no valuables. I literally had my laptop, the clothes on my back, and my car and my phone. And I got in the car with what I had, my wallet too. And I'm like, where do I go? So I went to Palm Springs. I went to the desert because it's very rare that the desert can catch fire like this. It's a humid climate, so it's used to fires, so it's kind of sustainable. So I was like, let me just go. Girl, Palm Springs in itself is only, without traffic, it's about like an hour, 30 minutes away, 2 hours max, right? That day, when everyone was evacuating, it took 6 hours to get to Palm Springs. Mind you, the city is in flames on both sides of the interstate. So you're driving, and I can't. It's like something out of a movie because you're driving and it's gridlock, right? But you have flames on the side of you. And I'll never forget, work people going, like, wanting to have meetings and all these things. And I'm like,
Are
hey,
you serious?
oh girl, I, it was insane. I'm like, there are flames on the side of me. Like, I'm literally fighting for my life. You want to have a meeting right now? And it's crazy because people couldn't put into concept what's happening. I'm like, I'm
Well,
literally
But
fleeing
what was
for my life.
going through your mind? Like, I'm literally like getting chills. I remember watching, and
Yeah.
my eyes got like really just like it was just so unreal to see it.
Yeah.
And that was on screen.
That was
So
on
what
screen.
was going through your mind?
In the moment, I was very
Survival.
much trying to figure out what to do. Because when you're in survival mode like that, like we talk about our day-to-day life, like, oh, I'm in survival mode, I'm trying to make ends meet or whatever. What about when you really are fighting for your life?
I was in 9/11, so I know.
Yeah, you're like, what? Like, what do I actually do? Do I flee the state? Where do I go next? What do I do in this situation? So that's what was going through my mind is, what do I do? Do I go home? Okay, my family's on the East Coast, so I'm like, it's gonna take
Oh
me.
my gosh.
I can't drive home in a day. So you're like, what do I do? Then you think about money because no one's expecting this, right? So I'm like, what do I do? I'm going to Palm Springs. Where am I going to stay? I literally went to the cheapest hotel I could find and I booked just 4 days. I'm like, surely this will be over in 4 days. I had no idea. Those fires went on for almost 4 weeks, almost a full month, uncontained. Okay. I had no idea that that would ever happen. I have no food. I have one pair of clothes. I have my phone, my wallet, no cash, nothing. And the aspect of, I'm also thinking, what's going to be left? Like, will I have a home to go to? People are blowing up your phone. Hey, where are you? Are you okay? Where are you going? And I'm literally like, I don't know. Right? So that's what was going through my mind, Yvette. It was, what the hell am I going to do? Uh,
So,
yeah.
I'm listening to you talk about, what you took with you and how you left everything behind, right? A lot of times, I think most of the time, we identify ourselves with our home, our career, the things that material things. We just or our jobs or our whatever it is, right? I imagine that in that space, not only did you lose your sense of safety, but to a degree, you might have lost a little bit of your identity. How did surviving the wildfires, and thank God that you did, change you or change some of your beliefs? Because I think it's life changing.
Truly, my whole aspect on life has completely changed. We're not even a full year. It hasn't even been 6 full months since those fires happened, and my aspect on life has completely changed. For one, I want to say when I evacuated from the fire, I had no idea that I was losing literally everything. The job that I had is now gone. I don't still have the same career anymore. My 9 to 5, I don't have it anymore. Um, Materialistic things, I don't have anymore. Right? So when I thought of myself, when I used to, if you would have asked me last year, Victoria, what's your 5 year goal? Do you know what I would have told you? I would have said, oh, I want to have a 6 bedroom house in the Palisades, and I want to be like a VP of some media corporation or working in marketing. Not that those things can't happen, right? But
Right.
that's what my peak was. And I would have
Okay.
said, I want to still live in the Palisades or Malibu. Girl, you couldn't pay me. I drive through LA still now and I look at people's homes that are in these very tiny street, like in the Hollywood Hills. And you know what goes through my mind now?
But
I'm like, you better hope none of this catches on fire. That's what goes through my mind when I drive through this city now. You better hope one of these power lines doesn't spark, or one of these palm trees gets overheated and then the leaves fall, because if one leaf falls and it's on fire, it's just gonna go like a like a burning ball through this whole city. That's what goes through my mind now. So when you ask me what aspects of my identity have changed, I have gone completely from being a more materialistic person. Not that I don't still love my designer handbags. I'm still a New York girl, really, at heart. I love my designer
and there's
clothes.
nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with it, but the important things in life now matter to me. I have shifted. My physical health is what I focus on now. My connection with God. That fire, I was never really, I always believed in Christ, right? And I've always considered myself a Christian. But when I tell you, I have never had to actually fall on hand and knee and pray and cry out to God like, Lord, I don't know what's going to happen to me. Help me, show me what to do. I never had to do that before these fires. Now I talk to God every day. It's something that I prioritize because you don't know when your last breath is going to be. I know people that I literally know people that passed away in those fires. I know people who have lost literally everything they had. These people are homeowners. It's gone. The city isn't paying us for what we lost, or the health problems that breathing in all of the smoke
Mhm.
could cause. We're not getting compensated for that, so people are really struggling. So I have changed my whole outlook on life has completely shifted. Like completely. I don't care about clothes. I have maybe 10 outfits now since those fires, and I wear them on repeat. I don't care. I'm like, I don't need it. I eat completely different because I was so broke during the fire, waiting on my last paycheck to clear. All this, I started driving Lyft. I was pivoting so much that
Survival.
I've changed my eating habits. I've changed my religious practices. Everything about me has changed. And I tell people so much, we complain so much every day. I tell people all the time, honey, what you're worried about right now isn't even gonna matter in a
Mhm.
year from now. Don't stress. I used to be so stressed trying to meet deadlines, trying to make sure I had the best ranking interview and all this. Girl, do you and be happy. Do what makes you happy. Our time on this earth is really short. Do
And
not
it's
care.
not guaranteed. The
The
time
next
is
day is
not
not.
no.
Don't let small things in life stress you out. That's also a way my mental has shifted. So that was
Thank
a
you.
lot, but
No, thank you for sharing that. Thank
yeah.
you. This is trauma. This is a traumatic event, and it's happened to, I don't know what the numbers are, but there's been a lot of destruction because of
Oh,
these fires. But you didn't just rebuild, you reimagined and you launched an entire new lifestyle, a new business. So, can you share a bit about that venture and what inspired the leap going from survival to creation?
absolutely. This is what I like to talk about. Yes. So as I mentioned before, I lost my 9 to 5, right? Most people know me as being a TV host, mainly because that's where I've gained a lot of my popularity. But outside of being on camera, I've also been a marketing exec too for quite some time. I lost my marketing role,
Bread and butter,
my
right?
everything, my bread and butter,
Yeah,
my big 6 figures. I lost it. Why? Because I had to adhere to an emergency. Isn't that crazy?
that's
That's insane. You lose your job because of an emergency, something that you can't control. You lose it. So I sat back and I said, I don't ever want to be in that position again. So what did I do? I was like, just like what I said, I stopped focusing on something that was stressing me out anyway. And I said, what do I really love? I love TV hosting and I also love to cook. People love anytime you're around me, I'm always cooking, I'm always serving up a cocktail, and that's what people love. I like
Ah.
to make people happy. So I got real with myself and I said, start your own company. You know how to do marketing, you've been doing it for years. Start your own business and take a bet on yourself. And that's what I did. I took a bet on myself and I launched my first catering company called Southern Spice Co., which is doing
Mm.
very well. And I also have baby started because there's so much that goes into alcohol, but my own beverage brand, Tropical Express. Um, and I have been so much happier ever since. Honestly, getting to my roots of what makes me happy. So whenever, even though it's hard work because you're working for
Yeah.
yourself, right? You're doing so much outreach, you're building your
You
social media brand. Girl, I know with this podcast. You're literally doing it all yourself. You're sending out 50 to 100 emails a day. You're doing follow-up calls with all these people.
Yeah.
It's a lot to do on your own. And then building out my own little mini team. I never would have thought I got here, but I'm here, right? It's hard, but it's so rewarding because all of the energy that we put into building other people's brands, and
Yes.
they make millions off of it, billions,
Mhm.
trillions, some. When you put it into yourself, you really start to realize just how valuable you are, especially at a time when others may make you seem unvaluable. The company I was working for, Yvette, I gave them my all. These people, they called me when I would take days off. I worked on holidays, worked almost 16 hours a day. Like, that's insane, right? But I loved it. I was passionate. And they had the biggest returns they had ever seen since they had opened when I worked for them. But they never valued me as a person. So I was traded out for something
And
I
a
could.
lot of and a lot of people will resonate with what you just said,
Yeah,
sadly.
it's sad, but all I can say is, guys, if someone doesn't appreciate you, and this goes for work, it goes for relationships, or even for self-reflection. When someone or something doesn't appreciate what you bring to the table and they make you feel replaceable, don't stress it. Don't cry. It's okay to reflect and it's okay to feel, but don't dwell on it too long because you've got to remember to pivot. And literally through the fire, I had to snap myself. I was crying for like a full week straight. Okay, I still cry sometimes. I post on social media when I go into the Palisades and I go through where I would go every day to shop, and I look through. No one can really go in there unless you're a resident over here, but um I look at it sometimes and I break down really bad because it's just crazy how much has happened.
Yeah.
But all I can say is don't dwell on it for too long. Remember to pivot, because sometimes when you feel like you've lost everything, God is setting you up to get more than you ever had before. Okay? And that's what I want for more people to know, is never feel like you can't you can't change or you can't get better than
Start
you
over
are.
or start
Start over,
over.
honey, and
Yeah.
do it better than them. That's what I would tell anyone, is like, girl, one of my homegirls actually was just very let down today because she had 4 rounds of interviews with a very well-known company. I won't say who they are, but had 4 rounds of interviews just for them to tell her, we really like you, but we're not going to move forward with you for the position. She was really beat down about it today. I said, girl, don't stick on that because it wasn't meant for you. There's something way bigger than you could even imagine right around the corner.
What is it they say too? Rejection is protection, or rejection.
Rejection is 100% protection. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you will live to see the day, where you're thriving and the people who let you go are not. You will live to see that day. So, yeah, that was how I pivoted. I lost everything and it made me reimagine who I am, and it made me get to my root of, what do I love?
I
What
love
makes me
it.
happy? I don't want to be stressed anymore. I don't want to be unhappy. Let me go do what makes me happy, and I'm making others happy while doing it. And I'm making more money now than I was then. So it
Yes.
all works out in the end,
We
right?
love to hear that.
Yeah.
Well, I've experienced some traumatic events of my own. And one of I like I mentioned, I was at 9/11, but even before that, I was in the 5th grade. I remember there was a fire next door to my classroom, and it was one of the scariest things I I've ever experienced. I remember the walls were hot. I remember we couldn't open the door because it just jammed. Um, it's something that even now I remember it, and it's scary. It really shakes you to your core, right? So I can't remember as an adult. I can't imagine as an adult experiencing something so traumatic and to such a large scale. Now, one of the things that something like this can do is make us confront our truth. What did the fires teach you about truth? You know, the podcast is all about truth.
It is.
and about the things that really matter when everything else is gone.
Oh my gosh, that is so deep. It almost
Mhm.
makes me want to cry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Don't
That's
no, no,
not,
don't be sorry.
I
It's a
just,
good reflective question, actually.
yeah.
The fires taught me a lot about truth. Before the fire, I would never reach out for help. I was the person that would never admit that I needed help. I was the person that always, "Oh, I'm fine," even though my life might be in shambles behind the scenes or I might have been going through something, I would always lie. That's lying. Um, "I'm good, I'm good. I don't need help," or even when people would try to help me, I would reject it. Those fires stripped me so much because I had nowhere to go.
Mm.
Um, I had to get real with myself and I actually had to admit that I needed help. And I fought with it for a long time. It took about 2 weeks before I even answered people's text messages. You know, I fought with asking for help. The truth is, the fires helped me realize that I needed help in more than just materialistic things.
Mm.
Therapy. I need help. I'm dealing with trauma. Help me. Like, I really had to. And I'm sorry that that brings you to tears, but
No, it's powerful.
yeah,
It's
it really, um, it got me to that point. I had to realize help isn't always monetary. And also when people ask you for help, guys, know that sometimes help isn't monetary. It's
just
not about
listening.
it's just listening.
Mm.
I need help. That's what happened. That was my truth. I need help. I
Well, I'm so glad you got it.
oh, girl, I'm still
And
working through it.
and I've said this before. Life is hard. When you go through things like that, it just adds another layer of complexity. There is nothing wrong with saying I'm not okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It that's how I've also changed back to one of your previous questions is how have the fires changed you as a person? Um being able to say I'm not okay. Um and being able to create boundaries with people too has helped because
Interesting. How?
um I was always the girl that you could call on and kind of like dump your weight off on. I've stopped being that girl. Sometimes I'm still there for my friends and for my family when they need me. But sometimes, Yvette, people will call you with all of their problems and never even ask about how you're doing. I've stopped being that person. If I'm not having a good day, I will tell you. Like, you'll call me and starting with problems. I'll tell you. I'm like, girl, I am not in the headspace today for this because you might hear something come out of my mouth that you don't want to hear. And being real about how I feel. And saying, hey guys, it's not that day for me. I'm sorry I don't want to go to your party. I'm sorry that I can't make this event. I have to work on me because if listen, if I'm not okay, if I can't help you, you know?
What do
Uh,
they say? Put the mask on first when you travel so you can help someone else.
Someone else. I got to
Yeah,
help myself before I can help someone else, right? So
100%.
that's really how it helped me
Well,
with the
thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
yeah,
That couldn't have been easy. So thank you for sharing that.
for sure.
So one of the things that, as you know, because you've listened to the podcast, that I love to do towards the end is share some advice with our community. Although you've given us so much, I'm grateful for you tonight because I needed I needed your I needed your story today to just remind me it's never as bad as we think it is. So
No.
thanks for sharing. So if someone is watching and is he or she is facing his or own version of burning everything burning down, and it could your life can burn down figuratively at any moment, right? A divorce, the loss of a job, just different types of trauma we go through. What would you say to them?
This is what I would say. If you feel like you've lost it all, if you feel everything in your life has gone up in flames, know that you've conquered bigger battles than this before. And know that no matter what, you can always reinvent yourself and reinvent your situation. If things aren't going the way that you want them to go, shift them, make them go the way you want them to go. Sit back, reflect on what it is you want. If stuff isn't going the way that you want it to go, look at it and say, well, how do I want it to go? And do the steps that it takes to get it to go your way. Okay? Don't feel like you're alone, because a lot of times when you're in the fire, you feel like you're in the fire alone. Know that someone else is going through a similar situation, if not worse than you. You're not on your own, but you can change your reality. Your life is yours. That comes from my mom.
I
She
love
always
that.
told me growing up, Vic, your life is yours. You're driving this boat. So if the boat isn't going the direction you want it to go, turn the steering wheel.
I
Okay?
love that.
And that's all I got to say to that. Switch your reality to be what you want it to be.
I
Okay?
love that. Victoria, thank you so much for being here today, for sharing your light with us. I appreciate you. I want to make sure everyone knows how to find is it Tropical Express?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
So you can follow us
And
on.
you, of course.
Right. So you can always keep up with me across all social media platforms at It's Just Vic. That's ITSJUSTVICK. And you can also follow my beverage company, Tropical Express. It's Tropical Express LA. And then my catering company, Southern Spice Co. on Instagram and TikTok. So
I love that.
follow us, give us a follow or check us out. But yeah, this has been such a pleasure.
Amazing.
I'm proud of you, girl. You're doing the Lord's work up in here. You know, this podcast has helped me, and I know that it will help so many other young women, young or old. It doesn't matter.
Or
Male,
old, right?
female.
We all need something.
We all need to hear what you're putting out, and keep up the good work. And I know that this is going to evolve even for you into whatever your dream is.
Oh,
You're doing the work and it's going to pay off. So shout out to you.
thank you. Thank you, babe. And thank you, loves, for joining us on this episode of the AW Confidential podcast. And I feel compelled to share a few words of my own. Sometimes life has to burn down the comfortable so you can rise into the unstoppable. What you lose in the fire isn't who you are, it's just Ooh, it's just the fuel for who you're becoming. You are resilient, you are powerful. So are you, Victoria. Thank you so much, love.
Oh, thank you so much, Yvette. I'll talk to you soon.
All
Bye.
right. Bye. Thank you.